Interested in becoming a nurse? Wondering what nurses are going through during these times of COVID 19? I want to thank all nurses, healthcare providers, first responders, truck drivers, and essential workers during these crazy times of quarantine. Serving up at the breakfast buffet, we have Jan Rosenberg, an All American wrestler who moved to Iowa to pursue a career in nursing. Hope you guys enjoy.
Do it! Ray Jazikov. Major decision, 14-4.
All right, today we have Jan Rosenberg, Jersey native who went to Morris Knolls, went to college in Iowa, became an All-American for College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and then pursued a career in nursing in Iowa. And hey, Jan, how you doing? And what hospital are you working at?
I'm at the University of Iowa Hospital, so the main one in Iowa City, kind of right across where you see on ESPN sometimes the football.
Yeah, we have a picture of that. That's awesome. They they waved to the hospital, right, during halftime?
Yeah, so at the end of the first quarter, all the fans turned to the Children's Hospital, which overlooks the stadium, and they all waved to the kids that are up on the 12th floor. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I have to say always for the kids. What made you pursue a career in nursing?
Honestly, like when I first went to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do, kind of just like everyone else.
That's the main reason why I'm starting this podcast, having people hear different career paths that you could choose. That was the main thing for me out of college. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so.
But my mom's a nurse. I kind of went to and with the small class sizes, they had a special program at for nursing. Your clinical, which is your hospital experience, was all one-on-one with another nurse for 3 different semesters. So that's kind of pretty big.
You might have to.
So the main reason why I kind of chose nursing when I got to college, the small class sizes were really helpful. Not a lot of programs for nursing have what they call like a one-on-one preceptorship, which means instead of like a group of students that go with one nurse, you're one-on-one with a nurse the entire time for 3 different clinical semesters.
That's interesting. How many years did it take to actually get through the nursing? I know it's a lot of years and a lot of steps.
Yeah, so actually, when I left Rutgers, I had a full academic year, and I still had to do 4 full academic years at It is a 4-year program to finish nursing, but you need specific like bio classes and other prerequisites that I didn't really get initially, so I had to kind of restart.
All right, so you went to Rutgers right out of high school, right? Right out of there. How many years did you go there for?
I went for 1 full year.
Yeah, and then what made you make the switch?
I think I just didn't really think I was ready and mature enough to wrestle Division One. I think a lot of kids, you come out of high school and coaches recruit you and they ask you if you want to be a national champ and an All-American, and of course you say yes. I don't think my actions really met my words. And I think I took that when I moved on to the next place and really helped kind of guide to see what was important for me. When I was at Rutgers, during practice and stuff, was I really giving the full effort to be a national champ? Like, probably not. Was I doing everything that really needed to be done to be a national champ? And I don't think I was really kind of hitting those marks that I needed to hit. And I think it was more of like a maturity level, just not really ready for big time show. And I think I needed to make a change to kind of grow and hit other goals in life to eventually. So
yeah, that's super important. Being honest with yourself is very important. Sometimes it's not worth it just sticking it out and being miserable. Sometimes you just have to be honest with yourself. And like you said, you found a light at the end of the tunnel. Kind of you saw your future, and that's a lot of people, they want to go D1, like D1 or bust, but there's a lot of opportunities, Division III, that could actually help your career more. It happens. Wrestling's going to end one day, and how are you going to set yourself up for the future? The Olympic team, you could only have so many guys, and there's only so many coaching spots. So that's very important to find your career and passion. And you found it at Co. What was the moment where you're like, all right, that's it, I'm going to be a nurse?
I think some of my coaches at Co had a big impact on me getting to where I want to be with nursing. Like you said, with the Division III opportunity, academics are really important. And Coach Osendorf kind of sat me down and said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm thinking about nursing. I'm thinking about this, and maybe business." And he was like, "Well, the good thing if you do nursing with Division III is, yeah, the academic schedule is rigorous and you'll have to go to hospitals for clinical, but you can make it work if that's something you really want to do." But he kind of sat me down and he said, "You really would have to lock down your lifestyle if this is something you really want to achieve." He said, "You need to make sure that everything is in line, or you're not going to be able to get all of this done. So you need to be real with yourself. This is your second opportunity, your second chance. And if this is something you really want to do, then you should go and pursue it." And then my mom, being a nurse, kind of giving me pointers and supporting me was pretty helpful to kind of just take a nosedive and go for it.
Yeah, it's important to have that support system, especially with your coach. That's the way my coach was at NYU. A lot of the athletes and my teammates, they wanted careers, whether it was going to Stern School of Business, being a businessman, whatever. We always accommodated their schedule. It was like, all right, here's practice, but we'll accommodate you. You don't really see that too much with D1, and it's important to have your coach on your side. So that's very important. And how was the Iowa lifestyle, my man? I know Jersey's a great wrestling culture. I mean, I'm being biased here, it's the best. But Iowa, man, Iowa was something else. I mean, I wrestled out there. The fans are all into it. How is the Iowa lifestyle?
I think the hardest thing to do is when you get out to Iowa is you have to learn how to hand fight and learn how to wrestle like you're from Iowa. The best part I like about it is Division I through III. You're going to wrestle in packed gyms. Fans are going to be on your side. The gyms are loud. People are going to yell for stalling. People are going to yell for action. And it is like no other. You walk into like a match at Carver or even a match at Co, and it's something you've never experienced before, especially like with the Iowa fans. Half the people, they might not know anything about wrestling, but they're still going to come out and support. I just think like the perfect mix of styles is that Jersey tenacity and scrambling with the Iowa hand fight can make you pretty dangerous and deadly. So I like it personally. But.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a kid from Jersey. How was the lifestyle change coming from, New Jersey just to go into the Midwest in Iowa?
Yeah, honestly, at first I was culture shocked. I remember even when I first got here, people, when you walk down the street, are asking you how you're doing, and people are like holding the door open for you and carrying or offering to hold your bags for you. And at first I was really uncomfortable with that. I thought it was too good to be true. Like in Jersey, you kind of fend for yourself in that sense. I mean, people hold the door open for you. It happens once in a while, but I think that was something I had to get used to and just kind of like slow down pace a little bit.
Yeah, because over here in Jersey, it's fast pace, go, 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 or else you're going to get ran over, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you probably had to slow down your pace, which honestly was probably better for you with that rigorous schedule of balancing nursing and wrestling. How did you do that? How did you balance your schedule? Did you have like a set schedule that you had to hit?
Yeah, so the thing that's like with nursing, since there's only 20 students that they take for the program, they have one set of class schedule. So it's not like I could take an intro to nursing class at 9 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They had one class with every single student. You're with the same 20 students for every single class, and you had to follow along their program. So I really had to utilize, and I think at Co we have something super unique and special. We have 7, 8 coaches on our roster, which NYU looks like you guys had quite a number of coaches too, but not a lot of Division III schools have that opportunity. And I had some of the best role models and coaches. I mean, I had coaches that were national finalists and national champs and that have coached 15 plus All-Americans with different work life. So I was able with one of my coaches to get up during the season if I had to at 5 in the morning and get a workout, and he would be there any single time I needed him to be there. And I thought that was just unique about Co that I didn't know if I could find at another place. But and then really having to lock down my lifestyle, like really having to decide what was important to me. If that meant going to clinical and then doing all my homework instead of maybe going to brunch or going to hang out with a group of friends, like that really needed to be locked down in order to get everything done and be successsul.
Yeah, for sure. You had to make those sacrifices, and talking about coaches being on your side. I had a couple coaches on my side that you needed to get that 6 a.m. workout in. Specifically Nick Solzer, he was a 3-time All-American for Virginia. Yeah. Me and him melded. We had the same mindset and everything. Same thing with Totola. I'd be like, "Yo, can you come in here and roll?" He'd be like, "Yeah, of course." And yeah, you're right. Having your schedule and making those sacrifices are big. Going to school for me in New York City, I call it letting the city get the best of you. And I think when you stick to a schedule and you're very goal oriented and you have that goal, you just have to stick to it. But once you let up once, that's when bad habits, play, and you let the city, for example, you let the city get the best of you. And I saw so many people crash and burn, all Americans and everything. They just let the outside influence get the best of them and tarnish their goals. So that's great. Is there one specific coach that just kept you guided and motivated in what you truly wanted?
Yeah, and I think now, I mean, in my life, I think I've had different coaches throughout my career that I really respect and I still look up to nowadays. I think at one of my coaches, Eric Casey, he's still there, and I coach under him now and get mentored under him. But he was there for me anytime I needed him. He's the perfect size for me, same weight and height as me, same kind of style that I wrestle. And he is a school teacher too, so he works a full-time job and then comes into practice or helps us. So just to kind of see how he was able to balance his work-life balance and still put in all the time for us and still travel with us. And I think he's coached 15 All-Americans at 125 pounds at his time at Co. Something like ridiculous number like that. And just being with a guy like that is, I mean, it was invaluable. And he reminds me a lot of like Coach Pollard, who I looked up to a lot growing up, just a guy that will continue to work. And if he's helping you and there for you, he's going to keep making you better. And he's kind of a guy that you want to be around who's contagious, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about with Coach Pollard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, contagious. Coach Pollard had that coaching voice. You could hear him from down the hall. You could hear him coaching and run a practice and bring that energy. And that's super important, especially for a wrestling room, especially mid-season when guys are down. They have no motivation. They're just going through the motion. When you have a coach that has more energy than you, well, you got to get your energy up, like you said, it's contagious. So you're coaching now? What Co? You're coaching? Wow, that's impressive. So you're coaching and nursing, working that full-time job, nursing and coaching. That's awesome. How do you fit that in?
Well, actually, so this was my first season back at Co. Last year I was at Cornell College, and I got asked by Kenny Anderson, who wrestled at Wartburg. He passed away last year, but he brought me into the Cornell program and kind of gave me a shot. And, I was working kind of days and nights then. A Nightline opened up at the hospital, so I would work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., and that would give me the opportunity to be in the wrestling room from 3 to like 5:30 and then go to work. Mm-hmm. So I was sleeping from 7 a.m. to waking up at 3 and going right to practice during the season. Yeah. And, I think, nursing in itself, I love it, but it's not like the same passion you burn sometimes for wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I think getting in the wrestling room just made me kind of keep that overall happiness and positive mindset. So then when I go to work, I still have that, good feeling to go to the work at hospitals, and I kind of have good days there too, and still kind of continue to grind through those days. So yeah, coaching definitely helps with your competitive edge. When you're done competing, there's nothing like it. There's nothing stepping on that mat and imposing your will on someone and scoring points and having fun. And coaching helped me with that too. And everything. It's rewarding when you coach someone you see it's paying off. You can actually see it, which is awesome. with the youth wrestling, man, that's impressive in itself.
Oh yeah, shout out Berkeley Heights Middle School, CMS. You know, they did really good. I had a bunch of youth state qualifiers, and unfortunately it got canceled because of the whole situation. But a lot of these guys were first year guys, and they already they qualified for the youth state. So I was proud of them. But you know, we have to get into it based on this whole, you know, COVID-19 situation. How are you dealing with it? Like, you're the front lines, my man.
Yeah, so I when you sign up to be a nurse, you never kind of expect to be in the middle of a pandemic. I was lucky enough that I'm in a level 1 trauma center, one of the only ones in the state of Iowa. So we get the sickest patients in the state. So I think over the last 3 years of being able to take care of those really acute stroke patients or cardiac patients or motor vehicle accidents, farming accidents, allowed me to grow my skill and critical thinking. Also, working in a trauma center like that, you need to have good collaboration and work with your team well. And that's just kind of what you bring from wrestling, I think, is working well with the team, working together, and kind of having a common goal. And I think just being in a facility with so many wonderful nurses and doctors, it doesn't feel that different. We are still all helping each other. We're still trying to do everything we can to take care of these patients and still get everyone else that needs to be taken care of. Trying to make these patients not feel so frightened, I think, is a big thing. Letting them know that they're important and we're there for them. But yeah, it's definitely a big change. There's no such thing as a quick patient anymore, like where you could go into a room and get tasks done. You have to kind of reframe your time management skills quite differently for the whole gowning and wearing the masks and going in and doing skills and learning how to group cares. So I think over that allows you to keep continuing to grow as a nurse in a different sense that you wouldn't have got without it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely still am cautious and fearful, just like everyone else. But
yeah, so being coachable, that's you being coachable, and that's one of the skills you get from wrestling too, especially with something like this that's, you know, hasn't happened. A pandemic hasn't happened in 100 years.
yeah,
You have to be able to flip that switch and be coachable, but you already have some of that stuff, you know, just from wrestling and building that characteristic, showing no fear, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing, is showing no fear, and you know, that's, like I said, I want to thank you, because that's this is all, you guys are front lines right now, and it's
yeah.
great. And you know, you truly don't know what skills you actually get from wrestling until you have to use it, and this is a perfect example of it.
It's so true. I think wrestling teaches you so many little things that you don't realize until you're older. But every little thing that you have, the wins and losses, the adversity, like common goals and trying to go forward to reach your goals, all you learn from wrestling. Every time that you've been knocked down, no matter how prepared you've been from wrestling, and you learn how to overcome it with adversity, it's the same thing that you can bring forward to nursing. Not every day is going to be great. You're going to have really sick patients. You're going to have patients that are really difficult, that maybe they don't want help, or they don't want to be there. And I mean, you have to think differently, that people don't come to the ER because they're happy. Some of these people, it's going to be the worst day of their life. And some of these people, they're going to be miserable, and you have to help them kind of get over that adversity. And you have to learn how to get over that adversity yourself, not being judgmental and kind of going in there with no bias, still trying to take care of them to the best of your abilities and try to make them feel comfortable and happy. I think sometimes just making them feel that they're important. I mean, sometimes in a big trauma center, like, you can be busy, but you still can make patients feel important, even if their like chief complaint isn't something that serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely treating patients, you know, basically the same, and keeping that positive attitude. That's great to think about. Like you said, every patient's different, so it's kind of like you have to go in there with the same attitude, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. What kind of advice would you give someone that wants to pursue a career in nursing?
I think that if I can do it, I mean, people can do it. You have to learn how to fortify your time management and be goal oriented and be coachable. But if you really want to do it, you just have to kind of put your head down and find out what's important to you. I think if someone wants to go into nursing, they should maybe take some like nursing classes or try to be a CNA and see if they like to get their feet wet in that. And then if you like doing that kind of stuff, then go forward and pursue it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely with the classes, that's good advice. One of my coaches in high school said there's an easy way to get through college and then there's a hard way. He goes, make sure you ask some of the guys that took your major, make sure you ask them to ask them what professor or what class to take before the next, because some are going to be harder than the others. Some professors are, all professors are different. So what? So you might have already answered this, but I'll ask it anyway. What is the most difficult situation of being a nurse, and what is the most rewarding?
I think the most difficult thing about being a nurse is if you get like a really sick patient and you have to spend a lot of time in that room, but then you still have, and especially as an emergency nurse, you have 3, 4, 5 other patients. You have to try to figure out and communicate so that those other patients get what they need as well. I think that can be difficult. I think the other thing that's sometimes difficult is there's sometimes patients that get brought in for committals or by police and they really don't want to be there. And it's hard sometimes, but you need to learn how to kind of make them feel that this isn't going to be the worst thing ever and that we can help you, or at least try to give them the help that they want. I think that can be difficult in its own different sense. Just knowing that, like I said, people don't like to come to the emergency department, but if we can make it somewhat enjoyable for them, or at least help relieve some stress or pain or dependence issue or whatever is going on in their life, if we can help them just a little bit, that's pretty rewarding. I also think it's rewarding when you kind of start to see your own self-growths. So like, for instance, if you have really critical patients and you're starting to notice from like a year difference that you're noticing critical changes in patients much quicker, or you've learned how to like group your cares more like quickly, or kind of just not recognizing like serious things is kind of a big thing that you need to be able to do. So when you start to click and realize, oh, I'm starting to operate well and starting to really be an efficient person that someone's asking questions, I think that's really helpful and rewarding, knowing that you're growing.
Uh-huh. So what's your day-to-day like now?
Well, just with the whole coronavirus thing, I probably am working 4 12-hour shifts a week. That's really about it. Other than that, I've been hanging out with my girlfriend and kind of we just been relaxing for the most part. I'm trying to really practice what I preach. If I'm telling people to stay out and social distance, then I'm trying to do the same. So.
Yeah, stay out and social distance. Come on, this thing.
Yeah, it needs to end.
To be over soon. Please, for the nurses out there, for the medical staff and everything.
We would be happy if it ended. I'll tell you.
So yeah, I asked everyone this. An adversity moment. What is something in your life, that was adversity and that you got over and became a part of you, became a story for you and a part of you now?
I think the biggest thing, and I'm just going to use a wrestling base. My senior year, I was ranked probably 5th in the country, D3, and I took 4th in the regional. So that means I didn't qualify for the national tournament. And, that's a tough moment because I was an All-American the year before. I really, truly believe I did everything in my power correctly. I trained right. I ate right. I got a lot of sleep. Like I said, socially tried to do everything I could, and it just wasn't my day. And it's hard to get over for a while, just because like I had some big adversity in high school too. Seeded first in the state twice and didn't win, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go try to be an All-American, try to do this, and for it to end like that was a little bit salty, but it's really good for me to bring forward to my guys now, knowing that I've been there. I've been through the adversity too. I've had my dreams crushed and I've had moments that were tough, but this is what we're going to do to try to help get over that hump so that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. That's what I do with a lot of kids I coach, whether it's middle school or some of the college guys. Just preaching your adversity and letting other guys know that, hey, I was here too. I was here too. I struggled with it. So it's very important to hear his experience, because sometimes with people, they don't realize it happens to other people, and they get through it too, if not worse. And like you said, you did everything possible that you could have done to become a national champ, right? So with me, I was the same way. Like I was an All-American, but I wasn't a national champ, and I was able to look myself in the mirror and say, hey, I did everything that I possibly could to be an All-American, and that's it. I eased my mind with it. Hopefully you were the same way, and you're coaching now and finding passion. Is that something you look at too?
Yeah, I think just kind of looking back over my career, yeah, I'm able to ease with that moment. I think if I were to look at my freshman year of college year versus then, I mean, totally satisfied. Just knowing that I did everything in my power. When, like I said, when I was at Rutgers, I don't think I did a lot of things in my power. I don't think I did anything really to get to my goals. I think Coach Godell and them did everything in their power to help me get to where I needed to be, and I just didn't. I don't think I was really receptive of getting to where those goals needed to be. So to kind of come back in full circle and see that, I bought into a program at Co and I did everything right, and I was learning from the coaches and all that, I can definitely look myself in the mirror and say, yeah, you made a huge gain, you grew up, you got mature, and it didn't go your way, but like I can be proud of what I put out on the mat.
Yeah. So was that the big part, going from Rutgers to Iowa? Did you found that love for wrestling again, huh? Just being
No,
being a
actually,
different athlete.
so it took me like a whole year probably to get back into the swing of things. I left Rutgers. I was proud. Like I said, it's not that I lost passion for the sport. I just definitely don't think that I did the right things that I needed to do. So, was I going to class all the time and studying all the time? No. Was I was I really pushing that wall back in front of me in practice? Probably not. I think after that I was kind of down. Went from big wins in high school and placing that far, going Super 32 to kind of just the total bottom level. It kind of took my high school club coach and high school coach to kind of rebound me back. And Coach Hall, who his name's Sean Hall, he wrestled at Co College. He runs Sir Wrestling Academy in New Jersey, or did for a long time. Brought me back into the club, was making me kind of run the youth classes. And I didn't really understand at the time, like, why does this guy want me to run youth classes? Like, I don't want to do this. But I started to see those kids kind of get fire underneath them. And I was like, wow, if these kids like are gravitating towards me and these kids are growing from me, like, then why can't I just grow myself, And then after that, we sat down and talked, and he told me, let's just look at some schools. Let's look at some D3 schools. I looked at Wartburg and Co. just because Drew Wagenhofer and Cody Silvestri from Jersey were out there. And they were at Wartburg, but I fell in love with Co. the minute I stepped on that campus, and that was it.
Yeah, you felt it. You felt it, huh?
And I think the biggest thing, too, I sat down with Coach Osendorf, and he wrestled for Gable, so he's a damn serious dude.
Legend, yeah.
Yeah, he breeds wrestling, and he could definitely coach a Division I program. He's that like focused and knows the sport that well. But he sat down with me and he was pretty much like, yeah, you're not guaranteed to do anything in our program. He's like, just because you wrestled D1 or you're here, like, doesn't mean you're going to be a starter. Doesn't mean you're going to do this. So like him being that real with me and kind of like knocking me in reality was the biggest thing I needed. I didn't need a coach telling me you're going to be a national champ, you're going to be this, because I was like, I haven't wrestled in 6 months really, I left Rutgers and just sat on my couch, didn't do anything. So I was like, yeah, like this is what I need. I need a coach to be real with me in that sense. Like, you need to earn everything that is going to be put forward to you. And
yeah, so he lit that fire. He lit that fire underneath you.
Yeah, so the first year, I was doing better than I did the year before. I still don't think I was even close to my potential. And then he convinced me to stay over in the summer and stay and train with some of our guys. Now, obviously with D3, they can't be in the room, but just staying there kind of away from my family, which was really hard, allowed me to grow up and then realize if I'm 1,000 miles away from home, like, I need to put in 100% of my attention and focus to reach my goals, or this is an absolute waste of time to be out here for wrestling.
Mhm.
So then I really started to buy in after that.
Yeah, that's super important. You're another part of the country, Midwest. You can't call up mom or dad and say, "Hey, I'm here. I need help." And yeah, that's important for growing up. And sometimes you need to get away and get out of that atmosphere to really truly find yourself and build yourself as a better person. Um, let's see what I like to kind of end it on this, or if you want to touch on other things. But here's the question I like to end with. So, who is Jan Rosenberg, and what do you want to be known for?
I definitely just want to be known for, especially now, just a guy that's hardworking, that's gonna be there for you. If you need me to teach you something, or I'm always here for that as well. Just someone that's honest and trustworthy, and someone that you can definitely trust if you need. Right now, I mean, I would just classify myself as a big wrestling fan, obviously. Nursing is my new passion now. I mean, I love to coach, but continue to grow in the field of nursing like I set out goals for wrestling. That's my big thing, and I want to coach All-Americans, and that's kind of what I want to do and help guys get to where they want to be in life outside of wrestling. I want to be that coach that's there for them, that has nothing to do with wrestling, that can be there to help them in any way and shape and form. So
Yeah, that's important. Helping people, and really appreciate your time, and thank you for not just your time, but nursing and being on the front lines. And any last advice you want to give anyone? You want to give a shout out or anything?
no, I just want to thank everyone that's kind of been there for me through the goods, the bads. All these coaches and guys that I've competed with, without them, I honestly wouldn't be anywhere near where I am. I want to thank the sport of wrestling, obviously. Without wrestling, I don't think I'd be half the person I am. I don't think I'd be determined. I don't think I would have goal-centered stuff. I don't think I would even be that anything, honestly. I think without wrestling, I would never have found nursing. I would never have been goal-driven to even get to where I am today. So, and I just want to thank the guys that I competed against who made me a better person, like yourself. So.
Yeah, we actually wrestled. We did.
So, I mean, everyone that I've kind of crossed paths with in wrestling has just made me a better person. So I think that is the best thing about the sport. Everyone's given back to me a little bit, and all those things start to grow and help you gain to where you want to be. So
Yeah, wrestling is a strong community. It's a culture. It's a lifestyle.
and then my other last advice for guys is
It's great. It's great. Connect with you and
yeah, and then
now
my
you keep on going.
for guys is just don't worry about D1, D2, D3. Find a place that you think can be home. Find what's important to you and go reach your goals. Any division is great. Any division All-American, you're an All-American, and there's some tough dudes everywhere. So find a great home and find good academics, and that's what you should do.
There you go. Wrestling is wrestling. And thanks again, my man. I appreciate it. If anyone has any questions, especially with nursing or anything, where could they follow you at?
You can follow me on social media. You can search my name or on Facebook, Jan Rosenberg. Janimal R125 on Twitter. Anything.
There we go. Janimal. That was the thing. Janimal.
Yep. Yeah,
Awesome.
it's funny how I got that name too. So
My man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And stay safe, and
thanks.
keep on battling on those front lines, and hopefully everyone at home is staying safe and following the guidelines of
Yeah,
the social
absolutely.
distancing.
Definitely do that. Social distance. This will be over, and everyone can get back to the normal thing. I appreciate you bringing me on, and I appreciate everything you're doing for the sport of wrestling and even pro wrestling. So
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, my man. It was great having you.
yeah, thanks, man.
Do it. Great jazz call. Major decision, 14 to